Welcome back to Build Proportion Lab at Devoxx France 2024, live from Paris. My old friend from many years ago, Henri Gomez, is here with me. Welcome, Henri. It's been like 5 years since we saw each other, way pre-COVID, I think.
Yes, exact.
And it's good to reconnect. It's good to have you here. The topic that you mentioned that you want to talk about is supply chain attacks in CI/CD space and pipelines, and this is something that kind of takes me back a year and a half ago to my JFrog days.
Yes.
But also very relevant for the stuff that we are doing in Gradle, especially with the build metadata, build scans, and this kind of stuff. So let's dig into it. I think we will have a fascinating discussion. So tell me a little bit about what you are doing and why this topic is dear to your heart those days.
For years I was a fan about CI/CD.
Yep.
In the day, the focus was mainly about code quality. Then we moved slowly to testing. Then we moved to delivery, so CI, testing, and CD. And nowadays, I mainly focus about how to protect the CI/CD chain. Why? Because sadly we are in war. Not necessarily said, but we are in war, and we should lose some kind of innocence, because, and we see recently with the XZ affair, we were very lucky to not be infected.
Yep.
So the question today is not if we'll be under attack, when we'll be attacked.
Yep.
So prepare ourselves.
So just for people who might not be familiar, what supply chain attack is one of the vectors that in the information security space. What exactly is a supply chain attack?
You have many ways to do supply chain attack. You have one way. You corrupt your CI chain to exfiltrate data.
And it's basically usually done by a fake dependency that someone injects into your software bill of materials, somewhere transitive dependency, direct dependency. And at the end of the day, you have a binary artifact that gets into your system by dependency resolution of your build tool and does something malicious within your system.
Yes, and you have those dependency you get into your code, but also the dependency embedded inside your CI/CD engine itself, especially now where you have a lot of Docker stuff in the pipeline. You're not even sure every time that the Docker image you will use for one particular part of your pipeline is safe.
Yep. And this topic is a very big deal those days, to the level that the President of the United States issues an executive decree about this topic, about the importance of software bill of materials and all this stuff, which kind of still blows my mind, because one would think what Joe Biden knows about software development. But here we go. Joe Biden told us to do software bill of materials, and that's pretty amazing. So software bill of materials, what's that? It's basically a list of your dependencies.
So on the dev side, basically is what did I embed, what did I use inside my final product. So this is one. You have a second part, indirectly, what are the test material I will involve at some time in the run process and in the test process, who may also be infected.
And this is a very important distinction, because when usually people think about SBOMs and bill of materials, they really think about the end result, what goes into our runtime, what goes into our product, but it's actually not enough, because the attack might happen with the artifacts that we don't even use in the final product.
Exactly.
So, okay, so what do we do about it?
So we should be not paranoid, but be very careful. My advice, this is what I do currently in my current job, is be sure about the source. If you don't know, I have a very simple way to do that. Say, trust foundation. Apache, Eclipse. There is a strong. There is a lot of reviewer. There is a strong community. You you're in better way and more confident in the quality and the audit and review about the stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So trusting the source is very, very important. But the question is, a lot of the times, how can you know the source of your dependencies, especially when we are talking about transitive dependencies? Right, it might be very obscure, and especially, for example, with certain build tools like Maven, it is a discouraged practice, but it's still technically possible to have your dependencies declare third-party sources to bring their dependencies that you are not even aware of, and it's obviously a very, very big issue. And thankfully, there are tools like, for example, build scan from Gradle that you can run even if you run a Maven build or a Gradle build or a SBT or Bazel or whatever. It will give you not only the list of dependencies that you are using, but also the list of sources where all those dependencies come from. And that might be one of the ways to get to the list of sources and then ask the questions, do you trust those sources or not?
You can based on this list, so you don't discover lately transitive dependency. You could use a principle of checklist, whitelist. Those are I'm confident on those. For the other, I challenge.
Yeah, the problem with whitelists is that it's very limiting during the development process, because I would imagine that usually those whitelists are comprised by your information security team that might not be as responsive as developers expect them to be. For example, I now write code and I discover that I need a dependency, a new dependency that does exactly what I need it to do, but I cannot use it before it was approved by my information security team. That might take a week, and this week I actually cannot move forward because I cannot do anything. So whitelists have their own disadvantages. Is there a way to overcome that?
It's complicated because here we mix the long run for the security team. We need time to investigate, and in this particular part of software engineering, this is not their business. They are more minded in the run. So using they might need time to, and this is what you say. Huh? I need the artifact today and not in 2 weeks. I will be out of delay. That's why you should try as possible to. You have two ways. You could trust or check later on. You could say, okay, I don't prevent you to do a sensible build, but by the end I will check.
Yeah, so I think this is very much the way that it can satisfy both ends, right? You can say in development, use whatever you like. We will do as much as possible automated checks with stuff like, for example, JFrog X-Ray. It's a great tool to automate some of those checks, but they are not 100% always true and accurate. So before we actually go to production, when we are talking about CI/CD pipelines, we will enforce harsher rules, and we will take more time to check before those artifacts actually get to our production servers and our users get to use it. So in development, a little bit more relaxed to allow you to move faster, and then in production, in your delivery pipelines, maybe a little bit more strict rules and strict enforcement.
If I follow a liquid approach, I would say deliver everything and validate and keep only what was approved. Because when you speak about security, there is a potential security and an applicable security. I could have a part of the code, a part of a component, especially in the Docker world. See, there is a leak with a curl, for example, but my code don't use curl. So I am at risk, really not. There is a risk about SSH on this distribution of used by. I want SSH using this way. So this is where the software engineer should be helped and work with an security engineer and distinguish between the theory and the applicability of it.
Yeah, and that's again something that I know our friends in JFrog are working on. Not only they will show you if you have a vulnerability inside your dependencies and your software pipeline, but also if this particular vulnerability is exploitable within the parameters of your code on what you're doing. So this is also something to pay attention to. It might be terrible, severe vulnerability, but it's really not exploitable because you don't use this particular dependency in this particular way. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yep. So, Henry, thank you very much. It was fascinating. And for you folks at home, pay attention to your pipelines. Supply chain attack is something that is in the news lately. And that means that not only we pay more attention to it, but also hackers pay more attention to it, to those kind of attacks, and find new and creative ways to exploit it. So we really need to be on high alert there. And with that, stay tuned for more episodes of Build Proportion Lab at Devoxx Friends 2024. We will get back very, very soon with you with new guests. Thank you very much and bye-bye.